Bright suns and rising moons, fellow droids. Welcome to another episode of Not the Droids podcast. I'm Mayuri,
And I'm Danny.
and today we are doing our last episode of the Clone Wars before we take a break for Mandalorian. So it's season 2, episodes 12, 13, and 14, all very appropriately Mandalorian themed. So
Yes.
the Mandalore plot, Voyage of Temptation, and Duchess of Mandalore. Danny, when did these come out?
So these released January 29th, February 5th, February 12th of 2010. I really enjoy when these release like right around the same time. So like we're in the anniversary. Like today is the
Yeah.
3rd and the one came out on the 5th. So I'm like we're right at that
Oh, that's so
anniversary, like at that
time.
16-year mark, which is like, oh wow, this was released 16 years ago this week.
Yeah. And I want to call attention. So while we were doing the episode research, Danny found out some information about the seasons that we didn't know before.
Yeah, so this is I want to research this a little more, but it is on well, it's not on Wikipedia. It's
Oh.
Wikipedia is what it took me to. So
Do we trust Wiki over Wookie?
I prefer Wookie, but on here it has the series overview that each season had a subtitle. So the first season did not, but this current season that we're in has the subtitle listed as Rise of the Bounty Hunters. So
Which I was saying, it kind of makes sense
it
with
does,
the
and
way that the episodes are.
yeah, because it says season two, Rise of the Bounty Hunters, 2009 to 2010.
I feel like we get a lot so far of bounty hunters.
We have, and we're hanging out on Mandalore now, so
Well, it doesn't seem like Mandalorians are generally bounty hunters
not
from the
really.
way that they were talking about it. I'll
No,
be real. I thought all Mandalorians were like in the outfit all the time, but I think that's Death Watch, right?
so
So,
yeah, so in this one we were kind of following Death Watch because I got confused because the guy took off his helmet, and I'm like, that's not how you roll, man.
well, but that's a Death Watch thing from which we'll find out in The Mandalorian, but like, spoiler, both of us have seen that show. So, honestly, this was really cool for me to watch. I was super, super engaged in it. Um, One, because it gives you a side of Obi-Wan I feel like we've never gotten before.
No, and I'm really enjoying it, and it's funny watching Anakin react to it.
Yeah, he's like, you stay with your girlfriend. That was so funny.
And he's like, wait, are you
Um,
two is there a and the way it comes off is you can kind of see Anakin like mentally going, "Oh, so it's okay what I'm
so
doing."
it's okay.
Because Obi-Wan once upon.
Later on, they have the conversation where Obi-Wan explains the situation.
Yes.
But it is interesting to watch in the first episode because, like, I started really getting into Star Wars when about the time that Mandalorian came out.
Hmm.
And that's what got me like super interested in actually watching the movies again and stuff like that, other than the newest trilogy I liked. But like I didn't like it enough to care about the rest of Star Wars until I started watching Mandalorian. So getting the context of this mini movie, because that's exactly how it
Yeah.
plays out. It's like a small short movie. Um, all of the context for actual Mandalore and Mandalorians and like Duchess Sabine and their whole government was really cool to me. I didn't realize that Mandalorians were pacifists.
So they're pacifist. So this is where it's like because we're on the city and she like is the Duchess, is she technically a Mandalorian? Like is everyone on this planet a Mandalorian
Well, they're
because of
all
her
from
Mandalore?
Mandalore.
Because what we know as a Mandalorian is the garb and the ritual
But that's why,
and the
like,
religion of it.
at what point, one point in these episodes, Obi-Wan mentions to Sabine that they have had some dealings with what they thought was a
Was a
Mandalorian,
Mandalorian.
and they specifically call out Jango Fett.
Yes.
And she very viscerally reacts that he is not Mandalorian. He's just a bounty hunter, and who knows where he got the garb. It's very much like I think Mandalore is different peoples and creatures and stuff like that, and they're all Mandalorians. Um, but this like what is in these shows like a tea organization. I'm trying not to say the words because a tea organization is what the Death Watch is,
Yes.
right? Like they very appropriately say like right now it's a tea organization, but if we become occupied they will become liberators.
Yes.
And so I'm just like, because we also know what happened kind of to Mandalore, not really. We see the aftermath,
Hmm.
but like, I'm so curious if we get more depth on how we went
Is
from this Mandalore to that Mandalore.
Do we think because Mandalore is choosing to be a neutral ground, that because of that, they end up caught up in the Clone Wars, and that is how
And
we
we
get to where we are?
see, yeah, well, so it's a civil war that happens, right? Like,
Yes.
that's what's coming. We can tell. And
And
I
well, that's how it
think,
starts off, is that the city has been attacked.
yeah. So, like, where we are right now, Duchess Sabine is a pacifist. She's leading the coalition. So this is the first time in Clone Wars that we see a coalition of neutral planets,
Yes.
right? So there's like 15,000 planets or 1,500. I had added an extra zero there. There's 1,500 planets that are committed to staying neutral. And she is like the main person for that coalition,
Yeah.
which makes her a target, right? So I was first of all amazed and I was like, why have we gone this long without knowing that there's a coalition of like senators that represent planets that are neutral? And
Because we've been in
two,
battles.
I know, well, so they call Obi-Wan out. She calls Obi-Wan out over and over and over again about like what a general you have become. And they do this like dance, and I think we've mentioned it before, like are Jedi's meant to be peacekeepers in what
It
sense
was
of the
the Ahsoka
word?
conversation.
Yeah, it's the
At what
Ahsoka
point are you a
conversation.
warrior and what point are you a peacekeeper? And are they the
Yeah.
same or are they different?
And so like I feel like Sabine was having that conversation with Obi-Wan throughout this entire like set of episodes. Like Jedi are meant to be keepers of the peace,
Yes.
not enforcers of the peace. Right? And so
Yeah.
like the plot of the Death Watch where they're just like, we don't, that's an extinct like group. What are you talking about? And you
Mhm.
can see that it's like infiltrated many parts of
Yeah.
government and all that stuff. So like that's how it works, right? Like it's a guerrilla group.
Yes.
Um,
So with these ones, before we go much further, I do have our little, I don't know, is it a tagline?
I don't know.
If
The
it's in Jedi be
lesson,
a lesson.
they're the
So, and I
lessons,
feel like these ones link with each other and are very true for the
the
episodes.
episodes.
So
Yeah,
our
they
first
were
one
pretty
is,
good.
if you ignore the past, you jeopardize the future. And then the second one is, fear not the future, weep not for the past. And then the third is, in tr war, truth is the first casualty.
First of all, whoever did these, philosopher. That's
They may write for Yoda and put this in regular
seriously.
speak.
It's like the Yoda's writer took a stab at these. Um,
We do have that moment where Obi-Wan and Anakin are talking, and they were talking about how there's no attachments. And he brings up Yoda. He's like, "Oh, Master Yoda has never like something." He's like, "Well, sometimes Yoda forgets about what it was like the feeling of regret."
yeah.
So I was very curious.
I wonder if we get more of like that kind of thing. And I
That's probably the
wonder
most heartfelt Anakin Obi-Wan conversation we've had.
conversation. Yeah, and it came at the end of the first episode of these three, right? Like we
Hmm.
didn't get Anakin until the very end of that episode. And I kind of loved that because like you see that there's like something there with Sabine and Obi-Wan. Like
Yeah.
they're too familiar to have just been like,
Yeah, so this was it was actually the start of the second episode where this came in.
oh, I just like kept hitting
Yeah,
next.
that's what I figured. I'm like, you watch this as a movie, but because I have the taglines, it breaks up where my
Yeah.
episodes start. But
I was just
it
like next and
yeah,
skip.
it was
Like
the start because they're back on board the ship,
yeah.
and that's where it
So
came from.
oh, because that's where Anakin came on. But yeah, so like I really liked the first episode, to be honest. It was interesting to see Mandalore, to meet their government structure, to understand a little bit more about them and how Mandalorians feel about the Death Watch.
And then it all comes down and is ruined because they put
Yes.
spider droids in it in the stupid. Ugh.
Oh my. So I didn't liken despite them just the assassin droids.
Yeah.
Hold on. Boom. The assassin droids looked like the machines from the Matrix,
Hmm.
right? And I was honestly horrified.
Well,
It was like a
when they
horror
first
movie.
appear, I was like, the guy like runs into R2, and then I was like, was R2 just a decoy? I'm like having a conniption over here.
It was wild because not only that, but the way that these assassin droids operated was very like okay, so it's like if the Matrix machines that
Mhm.
like kill all the ships, whatever they're called, the drones, mixed with like Shalom from Lord of the Rings, right? That's what it felt like to me
Didn't like
because
it.
she the machines had the pincers that were so sharp and the screaming of the clones.
Mm.
We like entered
A
horror
lot.
movie territory for
It
like
really
5 minutes.
was, because then you see like the aftermath of all of them, and you're like, that's a
It's just
lot.
their helmets. And I'm like, what?
That
No, the worst, the absolute worst, Sanity. I I had to pause it because I was like, what am I watching? A former kids show? What am I watching is when the drone used one of the bodies of the clones as a decoy for Anakin.
oh yeah.
Like it was puppeting the dead body.
It was, and that clone was like named like Red Eye or something stupid. And it was like,
Yes,
that doesn't work with this droid that actually is in charge of him right now because he has red eyes everywhere, and I don't like that.
it
You
was.
gave him a name
But this is
specifically.
where it's like
You wrote his history as a clone.
half of this episode felt like a horror movie because I every and then when they did kill the droids, the little ones came out, and I was like, and I oh
So I used to live in Oklahoma, and everyone always, thankfully this never happened to me, talked about the wolf spiders that would get inside, and they'd go to squish them, and it had all the babies on the back, and that's what happened here. It was just like, I can't handle it.
it was way too much for me. I have
Yeah.
to like admit because like even like the way that it crawled up the elevator shaft right to go to the senators,
Yep.
that was like it was just so creepy. So there's that plot. This episode had very much had two separate plots that ended up converging, which was it was really well done. Like
Hmm.
whoever created the story arc for these episodes,
They just wrote
so
a
good
movie and were like, let's find a good place to break it up.
to break it up. And I think when the locales changed, that was a great
Yes.
place to do that.
Yeah.
So we find out that the like someone authorized these droids to get onto the ship, and Obi-Wan's method for figuring out who was so smart. I forget that the Jedi are that smart because half the time they're making the dumbest
Yes.
decisions ever. And I wonder if it's just like Obi-Wan is clever. He's
I
more clever than others.
And it's not necessarily maybe more clever than that is like in his skill set. Like Anakin is very rash and much more ready to jump into a fight, whereas Obi-Wan wants like a plan and to think it through, and Anakin's plan is to crash the ship. Like, like
Always the plan.
he doesn't like actually like think through things.
Because I don't really think about how many millions of credits this ship was worth.
Nope. Whereas like Obi-Wan's like, can we have a semblance of a plan or like how are we gonna approach this?
The plot with the senators was interesting enough. Like, fine, I get it. Um, in the third part of these, the third episode where they're on Coruscant, right? Like they're still trying, the Death Watch is still trying to get the Republic to occupy. This was an episode that I like really, really had Palpatine on my spotlight to like see how he was operating. And he's so slick. He is so slick. Like, honestly, I don't understand what it is about the Sith Lords that they're so much smarter than the Jedi and the Senate.
It's Do you think it's that they're so much smarter, or that the Jedi kind of like approach the world in a way where they're like they
Everyone's
they
doing
don't
good.
yes, except when they're obviously not, so they don't expect someone who they're supposed to be working with to be not working with them.
Yeah. I don't know. That's why I'm just like, the
This
way
is
he
I'm very
maneuvered
curious to
this
watch the
episode.
Anakin fall because I'm like,
Yeah.
at what point?
Well, I'm just like, it's a master class in manipulation, right? So, like, this whole episode, Sabine is fighting against Republic occupation.
Mhm.
Speaking of this episode hits so real right now. But
Yeah.
I feel like all
The
of
hard
Star
time.
Wars
This is
does.
a hard time to
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 be going through Clone Wars, I gotta be
yeah, because sometimes you're
real.
like sometimes I'm like, can we go back to Young Jedi and just have a little bit of a break?
From the heaviness of what is actually happening. But to get back to the show, the occupation, they don't want it. They're actively fighting against it. And people are actively manipulating the Senate to make it feel like Sabine is not in control of her planet.
Yeah.
And that is wild that no one, they're still like, who doctored the recording? And I was like, why can't we start with the person who presented it to the Senate? Palpatine. Start there,
Start
guys.
like do this
Start
as a normal
there.
investigation. Chain of
Where did you
evidence.
get the recording?
Where is the chain of evidence? Who had it last? And let's backtrack to see when the file was like corrupted.
Corrupted. It
Yeah.
was edited. It was doctored.
Same same difference.
Also, like, why is like the second in command guy? I keep forgetting his name. The one with the like squid
Hmm.
things. I feel like there's more than two, but I think there might. Is it like his hair, or does he only have two, like Ahsoka? I think he has more than two because I
Yeah, I
feel
think he
like he
has.
look.
Well, Ahsoka doesn't only have two. She has three because there's one in the back.
Oh yeah, one in the back, whatever that is. But why is he so adamant about occupying Mandalore too? I feel like he's sus as well. I think he's a
He's been
separatist.
corrupted. Like,
I think he has been corrupted, and that he is also like separatist leaning or a separatist sympathetic.
or is he
Um,
Palpatine influenced?
that's true.
Because
But like they're fighting so hard, and I'm just like, what is the point of a senator from a planet? They're there to represent their planet. So when Sabine is sitting like, we do not want this
Satine.
occupation. Satine.
Sabine is another character. This is the only reason I'm correcting you.
That's why I'm getting confused.
Because Sabine comes in later. So I'm like, this is where I'm gonna.
She also a Mandalorian.
So
Isn't that Kate?
no,
Who's
you're
Kate's
thinking
character?
Bo-Katan.
Okay, that's a completely different
No.
person.
So Sabine Wren will come in Ahsoka and Rebels. So you
Oh,
haven't
okay.
met
So
her yet.
Satine.
So Satine is the senator,
Satine.
and Sabine we haven't met yet.
Do you know I know a person named Sabine in real life too? Um, but yeah, so Satine is meant to represent her planet in the Senate. So for them to just completely discount her opinion on how much they do not want the occupation and how that will actually lead to the Death Watch getting more power, which is their hope.
Yes.
They're literally, this is why they're doing it. And they just completely discounted it and did a vote when she wasn't even there. Like proving that all the manipulation by the Sith and the
It's
Death Watch is working.
it's so hard because we've seen this before. Like with
Yes.
Mothma, like it's so frustrating.
But it's so frustrating because, like, that's her
So
planet
frustrating.
she's meant to be
It is. And
representing.
like she should be making these decisions and being
Especially
included in a
since,
decision and you've gone out to pick her up and bring
also,
her.
by the way, she's the leader of the coalition for, like, whatever, the unaffiliated planets that don't want to be in the war.
Yes.
So obviously, like, does nobody else in the Senate have a brain cell between them that, like, oh, hey, if we discount her vote on what she wants for her own planet, they can do that to the other planets. She's the leader of that coalition. Do we not think that that is what the goal is?
It's it's right there.
That's the end goal of this whole plot. Someone
Yeah.
told me that I like look for the worst in what's happening, but I'm like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Yeah, you can't ignore what's actually happening. It's not sunshines and daisies.
They keep saying, like, why would anyone do this? Obviously, there's a reason they're doing it.
Yes. So we just mentioned, because we were talking about The Mandalorian, Bo-Katan, because you confused characters. I am going somewhere with this. Do you
Yes,
know who Bo-Katan is?
it's Kate Sackhoff.
It is Satine's sister. So
Oh.
there is a connection to those two characters. I was in an amusing Star Wars chat
Well,
today. Like,
okay, so
funny
that
those
makes sense
today.
why people like revere her.
Yes, and they have two very opposing characters. One's a
Yeah,
pacifist, one's part of.
one's very much a militant kind
Yes.
of person.
But it was funny because I was in a chat today. This has nothing to do with the show, but they were like, "Does that mean that Bo-Katan is a Disney princess because she is
Mm-hmm.
sisters to the Duchess? So she's
I've heard that.
technically a
I've
prince."
seen that. I went to a panel that Kate Sackhoff was on, and someone asked her that question. And it was hilarious. It was a Clone Wars panel. Do you know what's so wild to me is that like last year or the year before, I went to a panel of the Clone Wars without having seen
Any Clone Wars.
any of the Clone Wars. I think I still have a recording of all
You're
of
gonna have to
the.
like go back and watch it at the end and like,
Oh, I have to listen to it. I think I have a voice memo recording of that entire panel.
yeah, you're gonna have to go back and like pick up on all the things that
I'm
you
gonna have
missed.
so much more context for what everybody is
For like
talking about.
everything.
I was just there vibing. I was like, I don't know who any of these people are. I only knew who Kate Sackhoff was because she was in The Mandalorian. I didn't, and I know Ashley Eccleston because of you.
You are mixing fandoms right now.
I couldn't figure out. I knew it was like Eck.
Chris Eccleston, Doctor Who.
but I knew it was
Ashley
Ashley.
Eckstein.
Okay, it was okay. I just added a syllable. I tried. Okay, you have to like. I tried,
I
but
give
I
you props, except for the fact that I mention her name pretty regularly.
literally all the time. I'll have so much more context, but I do want to bring up the fact that we see the dark saber,
Yes. And we saw
and we
it in
get the
episode
lore.
one.
We get the lore of it.
Yes.
Was that the Mandalorians stole it from the Jedi Temple
Yes.
during the last war that they had against the Republic?
This felt like I'm trying to remember what show I saw that did this. I can't remember if it was a show or a movie where a descendant had this symbol and they were like, this is what we stand for because this is what my family did, but had like no actual reference for it. And that's what the governor felt like. He's like, he found out this lore of his family. He's like, now I have it. Don't know how to fight with it.
No, he was terrible.
Like he's living on the story, but doesn't actually have the like
Any
background
skill,
for what the
background, and
story
nothing.
actually like means or the
My
abilities.
my favorite part of that fight. Well, because like I expected him to have some skill with the dark saber, none. And after Obi-Wan like kind of fought him off like one or two or three times, he was like, "Get him!" because he knew that he couldn't beat
But
him.
but then there's also because we know, and we'll get into this once we hit the Mandalorian, part of the lore of the dark saber is that you win it by defeating the person who has it. So technically, is this like a Harry Potter wand situation where
The Elder
that dark
Wand.
saber is actually Obi-Wan's?
Well, I mean, Obi-Wan didn't defeat him though. Not technically.
Not technically, but also, dude cheated by bringing in his friends because
He
Obi-Wan would have
did.
defeated
He
him.
doesn't deserve it. But I
Yeah.
like that like we got some of the background of it and I feel
Yes.
like
I liked getting the history of it. And it's also beautifully animated.
animated.
Like the color really
Yeah.
reads. Because I was like, we see the lightsabers and you're like, okay, that's kind of a thing. But like the dark saber has a
The
very
dark saber like
specific look.
really pops. I liked it.
And there's a chance it wouldn't have popped properly, but I'm like, no, they did it right.
Well, but I also like, do you notice that Satine has no reaction to the dark saber?
But we know who ends up with it in the future.
I know, and they're obsessed with it. And so like that's
So
why I'm
maybe
just
is
like,
it part of their storyline? And the
yeah,
governor's just like,
I found it.
what's the word? Stealing the lore for his own family because it was part of the Mandalorian. Appropriating.
Appropriating.
I couldn't get the first syllable. I had like the P's, but I couldn't get the.
Here, like, there's a bunch of peas in
I'm like
here.
pro. No, there's something before that, so I didn't even try.
Appropriating the significance of the saber, right? So that's where I'm just like, this is. I feel like we're gonna get more of the of Mandalore in the Clone
I think
Wars because
so.
it feels like a very significant planet.
I don't think that we would have got the Mandalorian show without the knowledge of what happened to Mandalore somewhere in
Yeah, so
canon.
it has to be in the Clone Wars. Yeah. But I mean, I honestly am way more fired up to watch Mandalorian again
Which we
with
start
a little
next.
bit of context. I know that's why I'm like, we have a little bit more context. Like, obviously, we don't have the full context
Yes.
of the Clone Wars behind us, but even just knowing this much about Mandalore, it is going to be striking when we go back there.
Yes, it will be. And so next week we are going to be doing episode 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian. So we will be doing 2 episodes a week up until the release of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, where I finally get to see my Loth kittens and my DX droids.
Oh, yes, your favorite. We finally come across them, not in order, but in a special.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I love Mandalorian. Um,
I'm excited for you to rewatch it since this was like not your
I have
introduction, but also your introduction into Star Wars.
I have so much more context, right? Like, so the last time I watched Mandalorian as it came out. So the
Is
context that I
that the
had,
last time you watched the series?
yeah, I haven't
Okay.
rewatched it. And I did watch Boba Fett too when it came out. So when I watched it, the context that I had, the only context that I had was that I really liked the new trilogy and I had seen the old trilogy when I was a child, well, like in high school. And then the original trilogy, I had only just rewatched, and the side movies as well. Cause like I kind of was like, oh, if I'm gonna watch Mandalorian, I should probably like rewatch some of
Yeah.
these. So that's where like I kind of rewatched them, like a second screen rewatch for episodes one, two, three, and then seven, eight, nine, because I'd seen them.
Yeah.
But the original trilogy, so four, five, six, I had only seen it in a fever haze when I was in college. Like I had a fever and they were just, do you remember when like cable was a thing? So I had just watched it because it was on
It was
cable.
on. Yeah.
So I had just turned the TV on and it was on. So it was like I had a fever. So as I was waking up and going back to sleep, I was watching it. So I like really didn't remember. So that's why I rewatched it so
Yeah.
that I could watch The Mandalorian.
It's funny because when we did the scheduling, we were both like, we are gonna get so tired of Clone Wars and Mandalorian will be a nice break. But now we're also like, oh, but I want to continue Clone Wars.
I know, I'm dying because originally we saw the watch order and we were like, oh my God, we're going to be watching Clone Wars for like a year. It's going to be terrible. Because at that point, both of us hated the animation.
The animation was my struggle. I enjoyed the stories, but the animation was
I
now
couldn't
I'm
even
used
get
to
to the
it.
stories either because I also because I had tried to watch Clone Wars for when Ahsoka came out, and when I didn't like Clone Wars, I gave up on Ahsoka. By the way, I never watched that because of this reason. So essentially, I couldn't get over the animation, and what we now love is the Admiral's intros.
Yeah.
I hated them. I was like, what is this? What is this
Yeah, and
show?
until next time, we're not the droids you're looking for.
But we're the droids you're gonna get.